Hey, this is Greg Puciato from a bunch of bands. There's actually only like 3 of them. You're watching Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Graham from Loudwire here with Greg Puciato of the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Hey everyone, Greg Puciato here with Graham from Loudwire.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you for that. Man, I was telling you a bit earlier that I discovered the Dillinger Escape Plan in high school in my music class because somebody had burned Calculating Infinity onto the computer, and I clicked it as a pop punk kid, just saying, oh, what is this like? And then it absolutely distorted my brain.
Man. Yeah.
Killed. I know it's before you're in the band.
Yeah.
But absolutely killed my brain and really opened up my horizons for extreme music.
You're like, where's the Liberty Spikes? Where are the Liberty Spikes in this?
I know. I was so confused. I thought
There's
everyone
a severe
looked
lack
like
of
Good
Liberty
Charlotte.
Spikes. Yeah.
Everyone looked like Good Charlotte, and music only got a little heavier than
Right.
Good Charlotte.
Well, that's cool, man.
Oh yeah, so I've been a huge fan ever since, and it's been...
That's a long time. Well, thanks for caring for so long.
Dude, you guys have just put out album after album. Everything's just been creatively just inspired.
Thanks, man.
Every time, really. And Dissociation, I really, really enjoy. It's
Thank you.
Great swan song.
Yeah, in hindsight, I think it's my favorite. I think One of Us Is the Killer and Dissociation are my 2 favorites in hindsight.
I like hearing you get real soulful and bluesy in your approach, so I think both of those albums are great.
I think they were huge, both really big breakthroughs for me as a singer, and in terms of getting out of my own way vocally and not hearing, instead of hearing multiple voices, hearing one voice that just, that's kind of, my brain changed a little bit from being this part is going to be this kind of part and this part's going to be that kind of part, and I stopped thinking like that. And mostly on Dissociation, it just felt like one stream. You know what I mean? Whether it's screaming or singing, it still felt like one.
Man, this is a really unique time in your life because you're sort of on the closing end of this final chapter of Dillinger. Yeah. You're really you get to enjoy the twilight a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice because we've just had our heads down the whole time. We've just been in the trench the whole time.
Yeah.
It's always been very hard to see ourselves from the outside, to feel like we've accomplished anything, to look at anything objectively or with any type of perspective or hindsight. And really, right now, there's a really interesting mix of still being in it, but also already being past it. You know what I mean? So just because we're playing these shows doesn't mean that mentally we're already I'm past it. I'm ready. I want it to end. It's not going on and on forever.
It's been a long farewell tour.
Yeah. So, but I love the shows, but mentally I know what 2018 is going to be like 2019. So I'm already there. So we're kind of having this weird out of body thing where you're still present for the shows, but then you're starting to remember, hey, remember that time? Remember we did this thing? And you can look back and be like, wow, we must have done something that meant something to people. And when you're in it, you don't really ever think that, and it becomes it's really neat right now to have a first person and a third person perspective kind of happening at the same time.
Sure. I've been hearing Ben say that the relationships between the band members has really never been better in a lot of ways. Now that maybe some sort of pressure of the grind of Dillinger is kind of off you guys, it's really lightened things up a bit. Have you felt that way at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's the breakup that's causing it. It definitely has affected it a lot because there is a lack of pressure. It's like if you're married to someone and you have to, every single thing's got to be right. You want to get along about everything, and then if you're broken up, maybe you can just be better friends. I don't know if that's the best analogy, but I think that we would have gotten to this point regardless of the breakup. We really went through a lot of kind of self-awareness growth over the last 3 years. Everybody in the band, and I think if one person was growing, then the other people, it's kind of their responsibility to grow too. So I think we all started taking our individually massive strides to kind of handle our own shit behind the scenes. And because, I mean, some of us are laundry lists of just issues and mental illness, mostly myself
creative
and Ben.
People, man.
Mostly us too.
Yeah.
But and a lot of the times those things just run rampant because you're so focused on the work that you just, these other things just go unchecked for a long time, and they eventually just cause chaos and trauma within your camp. You know, you traumatize each other with your own volatility and your own unresolved issues, and I think we just started to fix those things. And so I think a lot of our getting along right now, it does come from the pressure being off of needing to get along, and B comes just from like kind of rapidly growing ourselves in the last few years.
I spoke to Ben recently, and he was talking about the composition of Dissociation being very heavily influenced by the push and pull between yourself and him.
Yeah.
Can you describe that a little bit to me, that push and pull?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of become a symbiote in a lot of ways, like over the years, you know, like we're very fused in our creative relationship. It's interesting, like I read a book called The Power of Two, which is about like famous kind of like duo relationships throughout history that were like duality, and I bought it off Amazon and sent it to him to read too, like kind of during the making of the record, because there was so much there were so many other parallels in other people's lives that were similar to ours. But I think in any strong duo over time, there's things that you become very, very similar, and there's other things that you repel against each other.
Sure.
And the things that you repel against are the things that you kind of like don't understand about the other person.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might find them to be either like distasteful or annoying, but those qualities often are attached to the creative qualities that make that person good, or bring something to the table that you don't have, and you kind of naturally over time start to fill the gaps in each other's abilities. And if someone else has this ability, then maybe you don't really care about that ability because you know someone else has it under control. And so it really is fascinating. Our dynamic is easily the most. I'll never have another one like it again in my life. It won't be possible to be with someone for that long, to be with someone during your formative years that closely. And I think that on this record we kind of just like achieved like unlocked version of, I don't know if we ascended a little bit. You know, we struggled the whole time. I see us struggling, and I see this record as us becoming light and just becoming some fully formed being. And I think ending the band, it almost was us saying like, all right, we did it. Like this is a victory. And being able to end the band makes you be able to look at the whole journey and say that this was a series of steps that led to this, and this was the kind of transfiguration, this record, and there's nothing left after that. What is there to do? We're a parody of ourselves after that. We're a cartoon character. I have to fucking write lyrics that I have to think to myself, what does Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan sound like, or what does he write about? I already did it. I resolved it. We resolved it. So.
You know, you mentioned earlier that 2018, 2019 is very clear in your mind. What can people expect? What do you visualize your life to become?
Tacos.
Nice.
And omelets and basketball. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Do you think you'll take some time off of music?
No, I can't take time off. No, I already know what I'm doing. So, but I would never. I can't divulge that because I'm a big fan of keeping process close.
Gotcha.
You know. Because you might change your fucking direction, and then you already told people a bunch of stuff that isn't going to happen, or you know.
Truth.
The only thing I can say for sure is that one of my other bands that is in existence is that band, the Black Queen. We are working on another an EP right now to follow up the full length, and that is going to be done like within like the next, basically as soon as I get done from this show, we take most of July through the end of September to finish that EP.
Okay.
And that's the first immediate thing on the burner, and I don't have a problem talking about that because I've already talked about it.
Sure.
And then after that, it's you know, people will find out.
Okay. Anything with Kill or Be Killed?
I saw Ben Kohler the other day. Mutoid Man came through Los Angeles.
Great band.
And him and I and Troy and I and Max and I, we all kind of talk a lot. We have like multiple running kind of text conversations, and it's more about scheduling, man. Like it takes a long time.
So many people.
The thing about the Black Queen is that we all live near one another and we're all friends and we hang out all the time, and it's very easy to be like, hey, let's get together tonight. When Ben lives in New York and I live in LA and Max lives in Phoenix and Troy lives in Atlanta, it becomes a fucking ordeal, and you have to have more than a week, or more than a couple days. You have to be like, hey, when does everyone have off for like a couple months? And is everyone willing to spend those couple months not hanging out with their family? And like, I don't have one, so it's easier for me.
Yeah.
But those guys all have kids and wives, and so it'll happen. Everyone is there's a lot of demos.
Okay.
But it's going to take everyone getting in the room for like 2 months or so to like take those demos from demo to finished recording.
Sure.
But
all right.
Who knows? Not this year.
Okay. So although you can't divulge what's to come, when do you think people will maybe start to hear about what you're doing creatively?
Because I'm going to do it under a pseudonym that no one ever knows about. I feel like the kind of psychological journey that everybody is on is very mirrored to your creative output. So when I think about making a record or making some songs or making an art project of any kind, I don't think about what kind of style I want to do or being a fan of a certain genre. I think about what do I have to say right now, what's happening in my life right now that's going to manifest into something. What is that thing, honestly, what form is that taking? Like, I'm not trying to squeeze something into KBK that doesn't go there. I'm not trying to squeeze something into Dillinger, squeeze something into TBQ that doesn't go there. It has to naturally fit. And then I have to figure out what is the step from, because to me it's a very linear progression. So One of Us Is the Killer happened, and then Fever Daydream, the Black Queen record happened, and then Dissociation happened. And they're all very linear in my life behind the scenes. The lyrics, everything are very, very linear. And I got to figure out what the next thing that makes sense is going to be, and then that's the next thing. Not so much like, oh, I want to do this kind of project or this kind of thing. Or that to me is like craftsmanship. It's like just being a fan of a genre and wanting to contribute to it. And for me, it's more about what do I have to say or get out of my system, and how do I do that,
Awesome. Well, Greg, thank you so much for giving me some of your time today, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Really
for
appreciate
giving
it.
a shit, dude.
Always.
Yeah.
We'll always care. Listen to Dissociation, everyone, if you haven't gotten it already.
Please.
The new Black Queen, too. Listen to that.
Man.
And pay attention, because there will be stuff to come.
Yeah, there's going to be stuff.
From Greg after Dillinger finally takes that last bow.
That's it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your time again.
Thank you so much.